I'm going to let you in on a secret. Your students are probably learning things that you don't know by looking at podcasts on the internet. Some of these things might be totally unrelated to your discipline, but some might actually be important. Here's a few things that I didn't know before and at first sound totally strange to me. If you lived on a flat earth and managed to get to the edge, the danger would not be that you fell off the edge, but that you fell back to the center. If you had a system that you managed to get to a temperature below 0 Kelvin, then that system would be really, really hot. The sum of all positive integers equals minus 1/12. Okay, so why should I care? There are all kinds of strange stuff out there. And I've been giving my course for many, many years. I know what the students need to learn and why they have difficulties in learning some of the things. So why should I care? Well, here are a few examples. If your students catch stomach flu, would you like to be able to tell your students that they can study at home? Or would you like them to come to your class? Or for that matter, if you catch the stomach flu, would you like to have some kind of contingency plan for not being able to give a lecture? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to skip some of the very basic background material that only a few of your students need you to go through, and to be able to tell them, I've recorded this, and if you need, just go to the web and look repeatedly until you understand this. And finally, something that was an eye-opener to me. Have you ever tried first recording your lecture and then sitting back and listening to what you say at a time when you're not totally mentally prepared? Are you able to follow your own reasoning? I know I wasn't. There are many ways to do podcasts. One way to do them is to record your own lectures, and that's called lecture-based podcast. The three kinds of podcasts I've been using, however, are enhanced, where you make a version of your lecture, but you record it by your computer, not standing in the lecture hall. Supplemental, where you add stuff that you wouldn't include in your lecture, like background material that only some students need. And worked examples, where you can go through some calculations or show how the student should use computer software. With worked examples and demos, my experiences with COMSOL Multiphysics is that earlier we stood by the students and answered questions and showed student by student how they should do things. And now it's more like I've recorded how you do things. We take one example and go through it step by step, and then the students sit by themselves and learn by doing. Okay, but does this work? Well, Yuan Shang reports that although there are many studies on Web 2.0 technologies, out of which podcast is a small part, the clear hard evidence is to a large degree still missing. So more studies are needed. And by the way, are you sure your lectures are efficient? Is each and every one of your lectures equally efficient? Kay reports in a comprehensive review that there seem to be some positive effects. And Kay only reports one study where there are negative effects, and that's decreased student attendance. But as Kay points out, that study doesn't say that that was a disadvantage for the students. So what to do? Well, I would recommend you to try and see what happens. In my experience, the students use these podcasts and they appreciate them a lot. And when I look at the viewing stats, autumn of 2014, when we moved to YouTube, well, I can see patterns here, like when we had the exam, there was a huge peak just before. And when the students had the big social event, no one looked at our podcasts. And if you want to see more examples, you could go to our YouTube channel.